Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the channel Builtprado. Now today I want to do a video of an in-depth walkthrough of the suspension in the old girl, because I get hassled all the time with questions from you guys. What is in here, what's going on, what's actually happening. But I've never done an official video. So I thought today we'll run through the whole car in full detail and combine the 3 videos I've done in this car and suspension into one, and just so you guys know at home what the heck's going on. And hopefully when you ask me what's going on, I can just send you this video link on Instagram. So here we go, we're gonna jump straight through it. Enjoy the video. Alright guys, now this car before I owned it came with a 2-inch lift, right? Now it was Lovells, and it had Lovells springs front and rear, which are like blue looking springs, and 2-inch shocks, okay? Now, obviously it's not like that anymore. So what I've done is, I've done the cheapest way possible for a lift in a car, which isn't ideal, but also it's been fine for a year and it's like been great. So in the rear here, we've got 80 series 3-inch springs. Now, sorry, that's how they are now in this car, but they're actually from an 80 series Land Cruiser, and they're the front stock springs. And when you put them in a Prado 90 in the back, it gives it about a 3-inch lift. Now, you guys, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see it, but I actually had 2-inch front 80 series springs in the rear, and that's when this car was red, and the car was literally sitting like this, and it was about a 5-inch lift on its own, and the car was like maxed out and all the components were stretching. It wasn't ideal. But if you guys are long fans, you'll know what I'm talking about. But as you can see, now it's got just the stock height, and it sits a lot nicer, it's a lot better. I thought because I had heaps of weight in the back of the car, but yeah, no worries, 2-inch, but don't do it guys, it won't work pretty much. So in the rear, 80 series front stock springs. Okay guys, now we're in the front here. Now I did a video only a few weeks ago about putting Prado 150 series springs in the front of this, which gives it about a 3-inch lift. Now you can also do the Prado 120 series springs. Now this is from the front of the car as well. So obviously if the 120 and the 150 have a diesel motor, it's a lot heavier than the petrol, and obviously the car's heavy as well. So when you put the springs in here, it obviously lifts it higher with the petrol motor in here. Now, yeah, I looked for months trying to get 120 series springs, couldn't find them anywhere, and then I eventually just got the 150 series springs, and they did work. So they're in here now. They're the black looking ones, and same with the rear. Because I think most of Toyota springs that are stock are black, if that makes sense. And as soon as you get 2-inch lift or anything else, you get like the blue and the yellow and those sort of colors. So they're both black, they match, which is great. Now, if you did watch that video, I did mention in it, there's actually one less coil sprung in this than the other one, which is technically worse, because for off-road you need more, and there's more flex and travel on that. So this has one less coil, but it sits higher, which allows for the big tires to get on there. So this is how I'm running it now at the moment. Alright guys, so far we've run through the whole suspension setup of the car. You've got the 2-inch Lovells shocks, front and rear, with 80 series front springs in the rear, and Prado 150 front springs in the front. So a bit of a mouthful, but pretty much you've got 2-inch shocks with a 3-inch spring all round. Now obviously that's not ideal. You'd rather have a 3-inch spring to sort of match it, or you could get 4 and do the whole fancy setup. But obviously I'm stingy with money and this is on a budget, so there you go. Now we're going to run through the next stage of the lift, which is obviously the body lift, and there's a video on YouTube about that. So I'm sure half of you have already seen that, but now we're going to run through the body lift. Alright guys, now I've pretty much got you on the ground here. Now this is where the body lift you'll see it most. Now if you look up here, hopefully you can see the little white light shining through there. Now that's showing the house on the other side. Now that's the body lift in effect pretty much. So obviously you've got your 2-inch aluminium blocks, and then your huge bolts that go through, replace the factory bolts, and you've obviously got 2 mounts, like 2, 2, 2, 2 throughout the whole car. Now the whole video on YouTube is on that, so go check that out if you want to do it yourself. But this is the most point you can see the body lift. Now, only from this angle though. So as you guys are about a meter off the ground, so most people aren't a meter off the ground when you're looking at your car, so you can't really see it because obviously you don't really want it to be shown. But that is just 2-inch all the way through. So that's obviously chassis is the same height, and it's lifting the body up 2 inches, which moves your fuel lines and all your brake lines a little bit more. But obviously that 2-inch gap we're getting through here, and this is further away as well, obviously. So when I had because I used to have the 2-inch body lift with 32s tires on this, so not 33s, 32s, and the car looked a bit out of proportion, looked a bit weird, and I wasn't really utilizing the body lift because it didn't need it, and it was just a big body roll. But as soon as I put 35s in it, I'm actually utilizing the lift that's there, and it's actually working better. So I'm really happy with that. Obviously it's a budget thing. You'd be better off doing like a 4-inch lift, and then the actual car will be off the ground higher, because right now the car sort of hangs a bit lower when you're looking from far away, which obviously doesn't look as nice and not as much clearance, but also there's more space between the side of my car and the chassis, which means that my body can't get damaged from rocks or anything. Otherwise you get rock sliders, but I'm now 2 inches higher from hitting, which is good. So that is the other aspect of the lift, the body lift. Okay, cool. So the summary of the car so far: 3-inch lift front and rear, 2-inch body lift all over. So is it a 5-inch lift? Technically speaking, no, not at all. But you put the numbers together, yes, because it's sort of lifting it in different ways, and my clearance off the ground isn't 5 inches because 2 of it is the body. So depends how you look at it, depends how complicated you get about it, but technically it's a 3-inch lift, 35. So that's technically what it is. Chassis is 3 inches off the ground over more. So that's how you look at it. Now I haven't done a I haven't done a diff drop, and I haven't extended any of my little connectors in there and stuff like that, which I get asked a lot as well. Because 2-inch, obviously, as we know, you don't have to do it. This is 3-inch, so it's not 4-inch, it's a little bit bigger. It's probably pushing it a bit, but I haven't had any dramas so far. So that's where it is now, and that's how I'm driving it for the last, what's it been, like 5-8 months or so. And it's been great. So that's the lift as all, and that's in full detail what the heck's going on. So ideally down the line, I'll get new shocks and potentially ideally take the body lift out and put an actual lift in there, so you can have the clearance and all that. But the way the car on the Prados, the front chassis, unlike a 79 series, just goes straight through. But on the Prado here at the front, it actually goes straight and it kinks out. And the part it kinks out is the part your tires rub on your chassis, and you can't do anything about it. So these cars are a bit limited to, but you only hit it in full lock. So these are just some things you have to think about when you're doing it. Obviously, you know, why don't you just get a Patrol or 79 and put 35s on it? But you know, if you can't afford that, you know, you got to do what you got to do to make it work, I guess. All right, now if you consider tires as well, then that's technically also a lift. But when you guys message me, you're generally referring to suspension, so I'm gonna cut it there pretty much. And one more note, down here in front of the bull bar, if this little guy thing wasn't on, you'd be able to see the radiator, and that's because of the body lift. So also with the body lift, also your bull bar needs to get all modified as well for that. But as a total, that's the whole lift done and dusted for this car in one video. So I hope you enjoy. Any questions, leave down below, and I'll catch you guys next time on Builtprado. Cheers.